Orgasmic enlightenment, where the sexual and spiritual come together. I'm Kim Anami, and I'm a holistic sex and relationship coach and a vaginal weightlifter. In this show, we explore all things intimate. I believe that our sexual energy is life force, creative energy, and we can use it to shape our worlds, strengthen our relationships, and self-actualize. I blend the most avant-garde information from neuroscience, ancient sexual practices like Tantra and Taoism, to renegade wellness modalities to show you how to create gourmet sex in your lives. Come one, come all. My body, my oracle versus my body, my enemy. This is a recording of an Instagram live that I did last week. I'll chat with you a little bit about it first and then play the recording back. So in an era of every biohacker selling their supplements and peptide stack, every integrative and regular physician flogging their HRT and TRT, I am not even remotely interested in their offerings. What's always fascinated me is the idea that I can source healing power from within. Years ago, I knew an Indian Ayurvedic doctor who was also trained as a psychiatrist in North America, and he was able to give himself full anesthesia through self-hypnosis. He did a procedure that required him to be fully under, and he did it himself. These are the kinds of talents that I am fascinated by, right? This is just the most curious and amazing thing in my mind. Taking a pill or a drug, not a flex in my world. It is the opposite. It's a dependency and a cop-out. It's like saying, yeah, I snorted some cocaine and I feel euphoria now. Like, oh, okay. Good for you. I mean, not even slightly impressed with that. And you might have some issues down the line. So I say all these things not to insult people who think that by making the move from big pharma to big, slightly better than pharma, that they've really switched teams. I don't see it that way. Same sales pitch that you need a medication, albeit maybe a slightly less sinister one, although I think that's debatable, in order to feel good. Forever and ever. You can never be without it. To me, this is the ultimate snake oil. I'm definitely taking a swing at the people who are advocating this, though, telling people that by the very nature of their existence in a human body, they are perpetually flawed and broken and can only ever maybe have some hope at a mediocre existence if they guzzle drugs or supplements or give themselves needles every day, forever and ever. Amen. I don't buy it, and I don't care. I'm not interested in the idea that is being pitched, which is that humans need constant medicating. I am inspired by the notion that we can heal ourselves. Everyone can. This is the true flex in my world and in Anami Land. I have the faith and belief and knowledge that the body is infinitely wise and brilliant. Sometimes our minds and emotions get off track and we don't know how to course correct. And that lack of direction or potentially going in the wrong direction becomes a source of strife, of imbalance, of dis-ease. That eventually manifests in the body as some kind of symptomology if we let these things carry on long enough. If we ignore the messages the body is desperately trying to give us, and instead we smother its voice and its direction. But if we are willing to figure out where and how we went off track, we can get back on again. That is what I'm interested in. That and strong, self-disciplined people who have the internal strength, which they've cultivated over lifetimes, to dive inward and find the resilience and self-love and self-belief that they can do this. People who don't shy away from a challenge. People who call on their own greatness, hold themselves to a higher standard than most, and believe in their own healing and potential for growth. I fucking love you all. You are inspirational to me. However, we live in a world that discourages this. Especially in the last decade or so, what I would call the years of whining and not winning, there has been a shift to celebrating victimhood and disempowerment as a way of life. The era of apology, apologizing for greatness, hiding your brilliance and superiority, and instead endorsing mediocrity, being ultra basic, and saluting having zero self-discipline. All the study bros and hormone hoes and biohacking bitches encourage a constant outsourcing for this. Even in the supposed nouveau and somewhat alternative health field of whatever we're calling biohacking, which just really seems to mean chugging drugs, the name of the game is how many supplements you can swallow and how many devices you can possibly stock your house and body with. Again, I am not even remotely fucking interested. I saw the Instagram of a very well-known female biohacker, and she was talking about how her Oura ring predicted the day she would go into labor by looking at her heart rate and whatever else these things show people. And yet, she ended up in the hospital with a C-section, which is no surprise. Honey, how did you sleep last night? Hang on, let me check my Oura ring. Yeah, okay, it looks like I slept well according to my biomarkers. If someone is consistently outsourcing all of their inner knowing to a machine when it comes time to tune in on the deepest possible level you will ever do as a woman, which is to birth your own baby, she has no fucking clue. What, didn't your Oura ring tell you what to do? Could your Oura ring not guide you in the most primal, autonomous, self-defining experience you will ever have? No, it cannot. There is a price for this constant outsourcing. When you really need the innate skill of being so deeply connected to your body and your inner knowing and the cosmos, it's not there. That relationship has never been nurtured. Instead, it's been deliberately discarded in favor of metrics. In this episode, I go through some specific examples of reproductive ailments and their symbolism. That is, what the body is trying to communicate to us, and how the way and the truth is through your own body. Not a machine, not a drug, not a peptide, but by unleashing the power we all have that is accessible at any time that we are ready to touch it. Welcome to My Body, My Oracle versus My Body, My Enemy. So lately I've been taking on a number of topics related to this whole notion of sovereignty, getting the answers from within, inner sourcing, if you will, versus outer sourcing. And there's this notion that somehow it can be empowering to do things that are make you dependent outside of yourself, like using lube or taking HRT and hormones, where in my world, in Anami Land, Hi, everybody. It's the opposite. We find it empowering to get your knowledge and wisdom and pleasure from within and not be reliant on external sources. Because the whole premise behind this suggests that people, and especially women people, apparently, are inherently faulty. There is something wrong with them that must only be resolved through constant medication and monitoring. So here today, I wanted to go really deeply into this and talk about the difference between inner sourcing and outer sourcing, and how somehow this outer sourcing has been glamorized, and like even this club, right? Like the way, like lately I have this concept of body positivity vaginas versus elite vaginas. So in the same way that people really got onto this idea over the last, decade, that like being fat, being obese is super cool, man. It's like being, not being able to fit into clothing and being massive and having a hard time getting up and walking across the room and developing all these adjacent diseases. Oh my God, it's like so cool. Just the way they're saying, oh, it's amazing to take HRT. Taking lube is incredible. Using lube is incredible. Getting your vagina electrocuted. Oh my God, how empowering. Bull fucking shit. That's the most unempowering, pathetic stuff. And look, and I don't blame women who've fallen under this spell. You don't know what you don't know until you know it. And if so-called experts, underfucked and sexually inexperienced people, AKA, are telling you these things, I get why you might think, oh, okay, this is the pathway. Like if a woman's in menopause, oh, so I guess I just need lube forever, HRT forever, and I need to start shopping at Eileen Taylor because that's, or whatever these old lady brands, right? Golden Girl clothing, right? Because I'm, 45 now or something ridiculous like that. I live in bikinis and bathing suits, right? This is my and mini skirts. This is my full-time wardrobe. And I live in climates that allow me to do this. Right now, I'm on a surf trip. I'm in a little like bamboo wooden bungalow, going out for a surf after this. And I've arranged my life to reflect this, or rather my vagina has. My vagina is in control. My vagina creates my reality, and this is a reality I have. I'm looking at the wave right now. I can see it right through my window that I'm going to go out and surf after we're done this call. So the whole I think, and a lot of this comes out of Western philosophy, looking at the body as something to be dominated, as something to be subjugated, rather than us listening and going with it and listening to the messages. And lube is such a great example of this, right? If women... just restarted my VKF because my OBGYN told me I needed HRT. I said, fuck that. Thank you, Kim. Ridiculous, right? And it's snake oil. If you have to take something for the rest of your life, that's not a remedy. That's not a solution. That is a Band-Aid. And it comes with a price, right? Of all the other side effects, least of which is destroying your innate intuitive connection with your body. So back to the lube idea. So if a vagina is not wet, let's think really hard about this. Oh, it's not ready. Either we're not emotionally connected to ourselves or our partners, or physically we need more stimulation. We need more connection. We need different kinds of physical stimulation. And then we get wet. It's really simple. But the way that people try to argue against this, oh, it's, you could be not wet and still want it. Really? Is that really? It is. People try to sell that idea. Total bullshit. What you're actually doing, I would call it self-rape. Yes, I know it's a strong term, but when you're forcing your body to do something it clearly doesn't want to do, we call that rape. When you're violating it and you're entering it against its will, that's rape. That's self-abuse. And it's a gaslighting, right? You're like, oh no, my body's ready. It just doesn't, well, I got to help make it ready. Let me just grab a bucket of lube. Really? It's fucking ludicrous. So if we had men, and I've said this lately on a post, like that had to take Viagra every single time you had sex, like a 20-year-old guy, a 30-year-old guy, would we not think, well, this is a bit like, really? Like, what's wrong with this guy? Like, is there something wrong with me? Is he gay? Like, does he not like girls? Does he not like vaginas? Like, what's going on? And those would be very valid questions. They would be the only questions you should ask, not, oh, do you have your Viagra with you today? No. No, this is the domain of idiots, honestly. And like body positivity vaginas and body positivity cocks. Look, and if that's the world that you want to live in, power to you. Go get your prescription, go get your buckets of lube. That's not Anami Land. Then this work is not for you. We are here for the elite athlete vaginas, the superior vaginas, the exceptional vaginas and cocks. That is who we're interested in training, right? As elite athletes, elite vaginas, elite cocks to reach your highest potential. If you want to cop out and go get a prescription, go for it. But this is not the place for you. You can come not being fully remedied. You can come into the program, to my work, still taking these things if you have a desire to shift. If you believe there is a possibility that you can do things differently and have a different kind of life. If you listen to my podcast and you hear all of our well-fucked all-stars telling their stories of insane victories, right? Like the podcast episode last week, from zero to all the vaginal orgasms. A woman who's in her 50s finds my work, only ever had her first clitoral orgasms in her late 40s, and then had all of these different orgasms, like G-spot, cervical, squirting, anal, nipple, energy-gasm, full body orgasm, multiple orgasm. You know, this is the expectation and the Anami guarantee that whatever age and stage you're at, it's never too late. Ooh, Na said, ladies, nothing like Kim's elixirs. Those things got me through the hardest part of life. I'm not in menopause. This work is the shit. So we have crystal elixirs and sex nectars that are herbal remedies that are in my Anami Alchemy shop that I created to work as adjacent products for people in our salons. So I don't recommend, like, I don't say, hey, take this, it will solve everything. I say these are excellent support on the journey of doing all of this deep internal alchemical work. These will help that process. Because again, I wouldn't tell anyone that you can just and be solved, right? Oh, it's over. You're all good. Just take this forever and ever. No, I want people to come in and do my work and then go. Like, you're not meant to be dependent on me for life. You're meant to learn these skills, integrate them, transform, and then you're off you go. That's the not the MLM marketing pitch that you need to come 3 times a week. Well, you do need to have an orgasm 3 times, well, minimum 3 times a week. But, chiropractic, you need 3 adjustments a week for the rest of your life, or you need hormone therapy for the rest of your life. Like, if I hear I don't know how people don't just hear this and think snake oil and MLM, All right. So the other thing that I don't do in my world is testing. So in this idea of going inward to get information, I don't believe in blood work. I don't believe, Karina, your retreat changed my life like 15 years ago and never looked back. Nice to hear from you, Karina. Blood work, I don't get. I don't do pap smears. I haven't had one in about 15 years. And this is the same idea that if I am tuned in enough with my body, I know if something might be off or out of balance, and I'm not relying on blood work to tell me or a pap smear to tell me. And the problem with this reliance on testing is like they're baby steps into this universe of outsourcing your power. So let's say a woman goes to get and look, again, you are where you are when you are there, and when you feel like you're ready to move away from these things, that's your choice, right? And I always say with people, like, take what you like from my work and leave the rest. If something really, you're like, oh, it's too much
don't worry about it. Take what works for you, and maybe one day you'll be ready for that. But I see it as my job, my passion, my duty to inform you about the kinds of things that you might not hear about elsewhere. So a woman goes to get a pap smear. She gets told that she has abnormal cells. And then they're like, oh, okay, so now we need to do whatever they do, like a scraping on the cervix. So they go and scrape the cervix. And then the woman gets scar tissue on the cervix. Then the woman goes to have a baby and her cervix doesn't dilate. Why? Because it's got scar tissue, and they call it failure to progress, where she's not dilating. And then she ends up with a C-section. Then she's got PTSD from this traumatic birth that she's had in the hospital. And I'd say all births in hospital are pretty much going to be traumatic and crisis-oriented and give people PTSD, both the woman and the man. She thinks then she's got postpartum depression, which is actually PTSD from the heinous experience she had in the hospital, the violations that she had. And then she's given antidepressants. So she's like dipped a toe into the allopathic world. And then she's going to be a customer for life. She's going to have entered into this MLM snake oil marketing scheme that basically pathologizes her entire existence forever and ever. Or you can cultivate a relationship with your body, with your vagina, with your innate knowing and intuition that I assert everyone has, even if it's buried under trauma, beliefs, and conditioning. It's there. You just have to uncover it. And that really is the foundation of my work, is pulling back the layers of conditioning, of false beliefs that prevent people from tapping into this innate wisdom that everyone has, and innate healing power that everyone has. And if somebody can't feel that, isn't in tune with it, then you've got work to do, right? Again, some choice might be, well, I feel numb, I feel disconnected, I feel disempowered. They take pills or they get surgery or whatever allopathic band-aids they're presented to that are in the vernacular, in the mainstream consciousness, versus the idea is that actually you can heal yourself and your vagina can heal you once you wake it up and you activate its powers. So I wanted to go through some examples of signs the body gives us when it's trying to communicate and we ignore it, right? So I mentioned lube, and I would say that immediate sign of not ready, do not enter. Slippery when wet is what we want, but not, tumbleweed dry with a bunch of lube slathered over top of it. We're reinforcing the dissociation. Every time a woman does that, she's reinforcing that. So the message is, hey, I'm not ready yet. What do I need? Do I need more emotional connection? Do I need more physical stimulation? Read the signs. Your body is your friend and your ally, and it's trying to tell you something. Another example would be when women are experiencing fertility challenges. Yes, there can be a huge physical component to this, but if the body is not getting pregnant, the body is saying to you, hey, it's not a good time, or like maybe there's issues within the relationship and your higher self is interfering or pausing things and saying, hey, like put a pause on things. You guys have work to do before you bring a baby into this dynamic. Or the body recognizes, I'm really toxic right now. This is not the ideal environment to host a baby in. We don't have the energy. We're probably going to damage the baby or you. So let's not do this until you clean things up. But people then are told that, no, you just need to push through this. You need to force it to happen. Like the amount of somersaults and things people need to do in IVF is crazy to me, when the main message is your body's not ready. You're not a good host right now. Fix things and you will be. And we see that all the time in my work. It could be even an energetic thing of opening up space within the family dynamic. Maybe somebody's like a woman has been in really masculine achiever mode. And then she's like, oh, okay, how do I create space to pivot into a different kind of energy to be a mother? And your higher self is communicating, let's get started on this before you get pregnant, right? So the body is actually working for us and not against us. Urinary incontinence is symbolic of having leaky energy. Yes, weak pelvic floor, pelvic bowl. Yes, the jade egg will remedy this. Often within 1 week, we see women having 2 decades of incontinence reverse it, where they had to wear diapers to go for a run. They were terrified to set foot on a trampoline, and now all is well because they were like going at that jade egg practice like an MF, and they got the results, right? It's actually very, very easy to remedy incontinence because most women never exercise their vaginas. You start to, like a radical difference. I've been on retreats where I teach women jade egg exercises in the morning. They go and make love with their partners in the afternoon, and their partners are like, whoa, Nelly, what's that grip all about? That quickly. So the other corresponding symbolism there is leaky energy, right? You're leaking out urine, you're leaking out energy. Lizzie Licious says, I have a jade egg, but not sure I'm using it correctly. Well, that's why I teach an entire program around it. And I don't just sell jade eggs on my website, because people do that, or they'll say, wear your jade egg around the house, wear it while you're vacuuming. It's the most useless advice ever. Completely useless. It's like going to the gym, staring at the weight rack, jumping up and down, and then going, whoa, that was like an amazing workout. I'm done for the day. Like, you need resistance and feedback. That is how you build strength and muscle. Another one would be pelvic organ prolapse. 50% of women after childbirth have some form of POP, and that will so I had a woman that I spoke to. Nas did VKF and WFW, moved so much energy, nearly lost like 40 pounds there. Great, because weight is excess baggage. We've had that response from people as well, that when they do this work, they have this internal alchemizing combustion engine that then transforms their trauma, their baggage. One of the best autonomic nervous system, if not the best, reset is an orgasm, especially a vaginal orgasm, a deep, life-changing G-spot or cervical orgasm and squirting orgasm. Better than any kind of breath work you could ever do. So POP, this woman had prolapse after having her child. She was in a very precarious place with her partner, the father. She ended the relationship, and her uterus, her everything just like went back into place, right? This incredibly holographic response to her energy field changing, right? So as above, so below, cause and effect. The higher cause is always the actual cause, right? Where she was perhaps giving away her power, wasn't being supported. This relationship ultimately wasn't good for her. She releases it, things solidify back in her body. Difficult periods and menopause. These are meant to be psychedelic portals for women. If you look at ancient or indigenous cultures throughout the world, they've looked at, before this programming around periods being dirty and menopause, which is largely North American, largely manufactured North American concept, came along. These were thought of as power times for women, right? You've probably heard stories about women in tribes who would be isolated during these times, or they would go into a longhouse and they wouldn't work during their periods. I'm not saying this is, part of it, I do actually recommend, to take it easy, especially in the initial part of your menstruation. But it's a time to go inward. And if you're not medicating yourself with Midol and Tylenol, like whatever, or like just extra hormones to make periods easier, which people will give you like candy if you go to a doctor and tell them you're having a difficult period. With some candy, little girl, want to get into my van and go for a ride? We were warned against those kinds of people when I was growing up. So I get distracted sometimes. Okay, difficult periods in menopause. So yeah, they're meant to be psychedelic portals. The cervix opens and you have access to inner dimensions of consciousness. And so this is what we want if we're not medicating through it. So when women are just plowing through their periods, or they're medicating through it, they're on hormones, or they have a lifestyle that's constantly in cortisol mode, they won't experience the magic of these openings, and they'll have the inverse effect where they have symptoms, stress, pain, difficulty, exhaustion. I know women who literally vomit their way through their periods. Like, they pass out, they faint, like they have insane experiences that are the inversion of that energy. And then in menopause, you have something similar where women are hormoning themselves or medicating themselves. And they also, like, there's so much programming. Like, I see it every day, right? Especially as I'm in this age range, and I'm just shocked at the bullshit that I see, right? Like, I'm out there surfing beefy waves in the best physical shape of my life, running my vagina empire, and then people are like whimpering and needing to chug their pills. Again, no shade thrown on women who've fallen under this spell. A lot of shade thrown on any practitioner who's advocating for HRT, lube, basically patronizing women and treating them like little fucking babies. Like, lots of shame directed, lots of shade and shame for you, like buckets of it. So it's actually embarrassing, I think, like when these so-called experts come forward and like, I need my HRT. Like, I've also got my affiliate commissions if you buy your HRT through my links. Like, yeah, it's a pretty shady way of life. So anyway, so these women then in menopause, you become that elder matriarchal shamanic force, because now that your reproductive energy isn't going every single month towards making babies, right? Your entire body preparing for this every month is a lot of energy. Women's periods are the equivalent of male excessive ejaculation, wasting that seed, wasting that seed, wasting that seed. And for women, it's wasting that blood and that energy. And loved the video of you surfing in the lab coat. Well, of course. I mean, I should have put it on now, right? It's like, just so that you take me seriously, I got to run and get my lab coat and my stethoscope, and like, it's like a Pavlovian response. You put on a lab coat and a stethoscope, or you just mention the word study, and then people are like, oh, we must listen. This is the gospel. It must be the truth. Yeah, people get put under spells all the time. And when you have a insentient and enlightened vagina, it's easier to see through them and not take them seriously and not participate in them. So women then enter this new chapter of creativity, rebirthing, often start new businesses, new lives, where they can completely rebirth everything that they do in their world. And so that is the vision for women at that time. I've been able to control the frequency and the duration, I guess, of my menstrual period for 30 years. And I went from I had regular monthly cycles. The thing that my periods were never really an issue for me, but I had brutal PMS. I wanted to fucking kill myself after ovulation. Like, every month was a struggle until I got well fucked. Even though I'd had some wonderful sexual experiences. It was like my late 20s where I had some extra pivotal ones that I talk about in the Well Fucked Woman Salon. And that's where thank you, really shifted my energy. And then the PMS totally went away. And we see that in my work all the time. When women turn that corner into well-fuckedness, their physical symptoms evaporate. Things like growths and cysts, endometriosis, PCOS, all manner of menstrual issues, libido improving, weight dropping off. It's this alchemical combustion that happens when you become well fucked. When your sexual energy is then available as a force and a conscious harnessing of that force to creatively shape your life with. If you're doing anything but that, creating your own reality from your sexual energy and your vagina, the inverse is happening, right? You are the effect rather than being cause. And so someone comes along and tells you menopause is terrible, you need lube and hormones. You're like, oh, okay. Rather than going somewhere within to find a different kind of truth that actually gives you power rather than puts you under somebody else's power. So that is the true experience of menstrual energy and menopausal energy is as this psychedelic portal that all women have access to if they're not medicating through it. So then we have things like birth control. Again, women are told, oh, you silly little girl, you couldn't possibly determine your own fertility. You need to take our pills or some kind of chemical that you put in your body that will basically just suppress, or hormone blockers, which is really what hormonal birth control is, rather than reading the signs of your own fertility. Every single woman, every single female species shows visible signs of estrus when they're ovulating, and human women are no different. When you learn to read them, then you know when you're fertile and when you're not. And there's only a 6, max 7 day fertile window for a human female every month. And when you learn to read that, you have complete control of your fertility. You don't need a pill. You don't need an outside source. And I've been using that for decades, and I teach that in all of my salons for men and women, because everybody ought to know that. That's the essential life skill. But you have this whole cadre of people fighting for the right to have abortions. And so pro-choice, that isn't my discussion here. My issue is that people think that it's so empowering, having an abortion. It's like, do you not know how you get pregnant? 97.5% of abortions are fully elective, meaning people use them for birth control. When people try to make arguments about why, we need abortions, because of rape and incest, that's maximum 2.5% of the reasons why women get abortions. Highest concentration of religious group getting abortions, Catholic women. So anyway, but my point here is that women then are marching around begging these men in Sith Lord costumes, or women as well, please, 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 can we have abortions? What the fuck is wrong with you? If you were actually an empowered woman, if you were actually sexually self-realized, you would be in complete control of your own fertility. You don't need someone to give you the right to access your own body or to educate you about your own body. You're like, oh, please, I don't know how my body works. Can you please help me with my abortion thing? Because does the stork get me pregnant? I don't know. I'm just a little girl. I don't know. Seriously? These people are an embarrassment, right? And it's always this feminist thing, get abortions. Look, I don't think any woman gets an abortion and goes, well, that was a fucking blast. I can't wait to do that again. Really? Do you think maybe the answer is being self-educated about your own body? But see, even in these so-called feminist communities, it's seen as empowering to be begging men to give you the permission to do something to your own body. This is the level of fucking underfucked idiocy that we're talking about in so many of these people, right? It's laughable if it, actually wasn't. But I did a podcast on this a few years ago called Roe versus Wade. Do I even give a shit? And I don't, because what a bunch of people decide in these so-called hallowed rooms has nothing to do with me. Never has, never will. Why is that? Because I take control of my own body, my own sexuality, my own fertility. I'm not waiting for someone to give me permission to do something with my own body. I'm self-educating. Okay, so these are all the things that I teach people to take control of, have autonomy with, so that your own inner knowing, your own inner confidence is so impenetrable, is so immaculate. It doesn't matter what these other outside people decide to do or don't do, or what decisions they make. Who cares? Let them go and jerk off in their own, jerk off to the sound of their own whining, just let them go do their thing. Let them eat clit. That's what I always say. We pursue the deeper vaginal orgasms. let them eat clit, let them have their junk food sex and their abortions and their clitoral orgasms, and they can fight for that. Totally your thing. Go for it. But we're going to be over here in total autonomous control and sovereignty of our sexuality, having life-changing vaginal orgasms, and creating our own realities with our vaginas and sexual energy, because that's the name of the game. And like I said, people can stumble along the way. You can take the advice of people who you think are authorities because they tell you they are, or they put their lab coat on, right? And you're like, oh, they must know what they're talking about, when they really don't, right? Another one that I'll mention is a couple of symptoms, right? Vagina on lockdown. So when a woman's vagina is clenched shut and it's saying, what's it say, right? What's it say? It's saying, don't come in, right? So when I've worked with women through the years and they had that, almost without exception, they had some kind of sexual trauma that had never been healed. So natural, valid reaction, the vagina is like, please don't come in until you heal me, right? Please heal me. Please integrate this experience so that I can learn to open up and enjoy sex. But if you keep trying to push your way in and I'm still grieving and dealing with trauma, then, it's not going to happen. I'm not letting it. But then the allopathic, they actually give women these vagina, they call them dilators, I think, where they get women to force their own vaginas. The rapiness of some of this stuff. When I see these women doing ads for, it's vaginal electrocution. I think it's microneedling in the vagina. They're like, you're coming at you with this giant dildo with needles on it going, hey, I'm coming for you. And they have a picture. I'm going to do a video about it. They have the visual of a woman with her legs in the stirrups, ready to get penetrated by this rapey fucking torture device. And the woman's like, oh, I'm going to help you. Would you just lift some fucking vaginal weights, bitch? Put a jade egg in your vagina, love your vagina, and you will have sex with your vagina. One thought, right? Exercise it. It will be the most youthful, supple vagina you've ever seen. You don't need to put a torture device and rape your own vagina. Not necessary. PCOS, endometriosis, same idea. Women who have a history of sexual trauma often manifest these deeper, it's think about your reproductive organs crying, right? That's what it's like. They are literally crying, and those are the symptoms of that. And so rather than medicate, Band-Aid, we actually go deep with it. Have you helped women get past sexual abuse? 100%. Listen to an episode called Healing Sexual Trauma with the Jade Yoni Egg, and that features one of our all-stars, Katie. Incredibly articulate. I love this episode. And she had a history of sexual abuse. She healed it entirely doing vaginal kung fu and using the jade egg. Very disciplined, right? She's this is the thing. If you want to succeed in Anami Land, you have to roll up your sleeves and do the work and the play and be dedicated to it, right? And we're there for you. There's support along the way. We've had people reduce fibroids and eliminate fibroids as well. But the work is ultimately up to you. I can't come over to your house and force you into your bed, right? I can encourage you and kick your butt a bit, but ultimately that's on you. Think about an elite athlete, right? They need to go and train and show up every day, and they have to find that motivation to keep showing up and winning, not whining. Right? Every single day, do you choose winning or do you choose whining? So that's the theme in all of our all-star stories. It's the level of devotion and dedication that people put into these practices, right? They didn't just watch a bunch of videos and be like, oh, I hope it works for me. They watch the videos and then they go and do the internal, emotional, physical work and play. Right? And that's where all the magic happens, is back there in the bed and in your vagina. All right. So steps to get there, to activate this internal knowing. Step number 1 is wake up your vagina. Most vaginas are totally numb. They are lacking sensation, feeling, strength, power, connection. Again, the more people override them, the more dissociated they get. Most women don't exercise their vaginas. They're weak, they're flabby. Think of like a flabby muscle, right? That's just like flabola. That's most people's vaginas. So they don't feel anything. As you strengthen it, best tool is the jade egg. You get increased circulation. Circulation equals lubrication. You're clenching, you're squeezing, you're gripping. All of this oxygen and neurotransmitters and neurochemicals are flowing throughout your tissues now, right? You're oxygenating these tissues, letting things flow. You get circulation equals lubrication. Number one physical reason why women don't lubricate is this, having a weak vagina. So connecting to yourself, I call it yoni reconnaissance. So going in and getting to know every little nook and cranny of your anatomy, every little corner, every fold, every bit of texture, all of it, right? So you want to go inside and get to know everything. So I differentiate yoni massage or yoni reconnaissance from self-pleasuring, where the massage and reconnaissance is about exploration, whether it's pleasurable or not. I mean, some of it actually might be emotional. You might hit a spot where you have something locked in, some kind of emotion or experience, and you massage it and you could have an emotional release. Fantastic. We welcome that. That's exactly what we want. That is yoni massage and reconnaissance. Yoni self-pleasuring is where you're actively looking for pleasure pathways, right? And paying attention to those and moving towards orgasm. All of these things. Even yoni gazing. We sell a beautiful Venetian glass yoni gazing mirror in the Anami Alchemy shop. And women have had psychedelic experiences just looking at their own yonis in the mirror. So many women have never looked at their own vaginas, have never even put their fingers in their own vaginas. So this know thyself element, huge piece of the success in this work. It's the step one. The foundation is knowing yourself, connecting and bridging any of these disconnect, dissociative gaps that women can have. Step two, listen to your vagina, right? So now that we're forging this relationship, Naz says, after hours of work in VKF, keeping consistent with the practices, self-sex dates, breast massage, I healed my sexual abuse and endometriosis. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Naz. So as we listen, we forge this relationship. The listening means, okay, am I a yes or a no? Honor that. Am I wet or am I dry? Honor that. In my courses, I actually discourage, if not forbid, women from using lube because I want them to connect with their vaginas and to cultivate that voice and that truth rather than override it, right? Again, that's your choice, how you go about that, but that is my path for creating this deep connection, rebuilding a trust. Right? Like, let's say your vagina, and women often will find this, it shuts down because you don't ever listen to it. You're just like, bitch, you don't know what you're talking about. Take this lube, take this electrocution torture device, right? And it's like, oh my God, why do you abuse me like every day? And you're like, look, we're gonna, I regret the ignorance I had over the years and decades, and I now want us to have a real intimate relationship. Okay, so I want to listen to you. I want to hear your voice. Please speak to me. And your vagina might be a little bit shy at first. It's like, do you really mean that? Are you really? It's like an abusive relationship, right? Like, you're like, did you really change? Did you really, you're really going to do things differently now? You're like, yes, I am. I really am. So that takes a bit of time to cultivate, but women get to the point where they use their vaginas as literal compasses. We did an interview with Amanda D, one of our all-stars, a couple of years ago, and I think, what is it called? What's it called? My vagina tells me where to go. If I remember the episode, I'll put it in the comments. I will remember it later. But like my vagina, my compass, or my vagina found that, something like that, where she'll actually go, she works, they own a company and they have a warehouse, and she goes like into the warehouse. She's like, they'll send her to the warehouse to find like, okay, paper clips, and she'll ask her vagina, and her vagina is like aisle 7 at the top shelf. Or she's going into a parking lot to go shopping, and she'll go, where should I park? Vagina, and her vagina is like, go around that way, go. So it becomes a second brain, a second heart, a navigation device in our lives. That's what it was meant to be, right? Like not just passive entity that just sits there and takes it, but and you can make that analogy physically too, right? Like we might think of the vagina as something, okay, cock comes in, it does things, the vagina just kind of sits there. Or the vagina has articulation. It can isolate different sections. It can literally play a cock like a flute. It can grip a cock, stop it from ejaculating, or make it ejaculate simply with its clenching power alone. That is a sentient, aware, articulate vagina, right? So I often say that the baseline for all vaginas is to be able to shoot ping pong balls. That's the baseline. That is not some legendary Thai bar trick in Phuket. No, it's the baseline for all vaginas. The baseline should not be vaginas that literally fall out, vaginas that pee their pants, that have no libido, that shut down, that are dry as a tumbleweed and need lubrication. No, it's not the baseline. That's become normalized, but it's not normal. Ping pong balls, hand jobs, air guitar, like playing the guitar, opening a bottle. That's baseline for vaginas. Really, we've just been the bar has dropped so far. It's literally on the ground where some women's vaginas are, and I mean that literally. Women's vaginas, when they have severe prolapse, fall out of them. It's like, and that again, that is considered more normal. Like, oh, it's okay if that happens. That's just normal. Bullshit. It is not normal. Stop normalizing. Stop having promoting a body positivity vagina, right? Like, no, we want elite normal, which is healthy functioning vagina. I don't want a body positivity vagina. I don't know who does. Nobody does. They just lie to themselves about it because they don't know another way, and the culture normalizes mediocrity, right? All these body positivity bitches are such liars because now that the price of admission is injecting themselves or taking pills, like whatever Ozempic BS, like now they're all getting thin. It's like, okay, so you didn't actually want to be overweight. You just didn't have the self-discipline or the self-love to go the other way and actually show up and do the work, right? So shut the fuck up. Can you reverse prolapse with a jade egg? I'm interested in your course. Yes, we have an episode coming out this week called Self-Healed Prolapse with the Jade Yoni Egg. A woman who's a chiropractor and a pelvic floor specialist in women. She reversed her prolapse using the jade egg and just speaks nothing but praises for the jade egg. So I think it's coming out Thursday of this week. So yes, and she's among many. But I just love that she's actually a pelvic floor therapist and had this experience and can speak to it from this more professional, if you will, level and endorse it. Can pregnant women use the jade egg? Best time to use the jade egg. Prepare your body, prepare your vagina, strengthen that pelvic floor. You're going to want that. You'll have an easier childbirth and a much faster recovery. Best prep you could do. Plus, you're connecting on all these levels to your sexual energy. Birth is a sexual experience. It is the final orgasm that started 9 months earlier. The big boss, the final boss orgasm happens after 9 months, and that's your birth, right? It is meant to be blissful, easy, pleasurable, the biggest orgasm you'll ever have in your life. So connecting to your sexual energy and really inhabiting it is the best prep that you can do for a pleasurable birth. Again, like I said earlier, one of the most hideous things that happens to women is when they go into a hospital and they're then pretty much guaranteed to have a crisis birth. And they end up with PTSD, their body gets violated and damaged, their relationship to themselves and their partner gets damaged because their partner becomes a cuckold, who's watching these other people gang rape his wife, partner, and then try to repair that then after. when you've got a newborn baby and you have this huge, balloon of trauma that now is hanging over your heads and literally in your bodies. And then you've got a kid on top of it. Like, no, your biggest aim going into pregnancy is to be a sexually self-realized being so that you orgasm your way through your birth. And you will be then so innately connected to your maternal instincts because you had to use them to birth your baby. Again, rather than go, I don't know how to do this, doctor, please make my baby come out. Massive outsourcing, right? The ultimate, the biggest glory and spiritual achievement a woman can have is birthing her baby naturally. That will change your entire being for the rest of your life. That will be the most important thing you can ever do as a woman. It's your biggest spiritual gift, being born into a female body. So the women who just toss that aside, again, inner sourcing versus outer sourcing. And in my work, actually the same woman in this healing prolapse story, she came into my work super devoted, super into it, heard all about my ideas about orgasmic birth, home birth, and free birth. Okay, so free birth is when you don't go get ultrasounds, you don't go get random dudes putting their hands up your vagina, oh, what's going on up here? You're pregnant, but I'll go inside your vagina. It's just a subjugation, humiliation ritual. There's nothing in your fucking vagina that's going to tell them about your uterus. It's gross. So they don't do any of that stuff, right? They don't get any tests. They don't get blood work done. You have to obviously be in a place where you trust yourself and your body that much. And ideally your partner's on board as well, or you're willing to try it, right? And she was. And so she ended up having a free birth, which means no midwife attended the birth, no doctor, no, specialist, just she and her partner. And I think maybe there were other children there, pets, dogs make great birth attendants. So that to me is the ideal. That is the ultimate inner sourcing versus outer sourcing. So she talks about that in that episode as well, the orgasmic free birth that she had, right? So these are the kinds of things that we expect and see as a result of doing this inner work, where you develop this ultimate confidence in yourself and in your own powers that you don't need it from other people. And again, it's not like you have to immediately be there to join the Anami Club. You don't. We all come into this work at different stages along the way, right? And you do what you feel confident enough to do. But the beautiful thing is, the further that you dive into this work, you become that person. Like there's a meme that I've created and have talked about, and a lot of people have taken this concept now. It's become part of the vernacular, like in the sexual ecosystem vocabulary, talking about well-fucked women. I coined this term decades ago. I've run a program, I trademarked it, where people were too afraid to say the word fuck publicly. And the well-fucked woman is someone who is owning and occupying so much of their sexual energy that they become unstoppable. They have a kind of magnetism, charisma, confidence, and don't give a fuck energy, right? That is naturally born out of inhabiting your sexual energy. So you don't have to try to be like confident or try to not care what other people think about me. No, you just don't. You hit a point, you hit a threshold that you break through, you don't care anymore. You just like, look at me, I don't give a fuck. I do my own thing, love it or leave it. Like, I'm good. The only thing that matters is my loyalty to my own truth and my own creativity and putting that out there in the world. That's my duty and my obligation, is to be loyal to that truth and to express it and have the courage to express it, right? And like what other people think of it, like then they're not a good fit, right? Let them eat clit. And the ones who want to live in the vagina and occupy these hallowed spaces of elite kung fu vaginas and being a well-fucked woman, come one, come all. Everybody is welcome. All right. So Well, I really talked about this already, but step 3 was like your vagina becomes your guide and compass, where you trust each other and you have this ongoing relationship, and you've learned to really harness the creative power of your vagina and your sexual energy. And this again is something I teach in all of my salons. It's okay, how do we do this? How do we take our sexual energy as a tangible power and use it to create our worlds with? And I often say, hashtag powered by vagina. Like, this lifestyle that I have, the business that I have, has all been born out of the strength, the power, the confidence of being connected to my sexual life force energy. Sexual energy is creative energy. If you're not creating babies with this energy, you create your life with it. Even if you are creating babies, you still create your life with it. But that is old. These are old teachings, from millennia ago, that had nothing to do with sex's morality, the shame and taboo that's linked with it. Like, these ancient ideas were that this is our life force energy. This is the ultimate chi. And this is what I've seen in all of my work, is that if people are not connected to this energy their entire lives, it acts like a black hole vortex where everything gets sucked into this hole, and they struggle with everything. They reconnect, they now tap into the power and learn how to take this energy and consciously channel it into their lives. Everything changes. They become magnetic. Opportunities fall into their laps, I say, because their laps attracted it. Everything changes, from their appearance, like I mentioned, weight loss before, all of this radical self-healing that takes place, especially in their reproductive organs. Career changes, because your sexual energy is your essence, right? And the more you're wearing that and channeling it out into the world, your life begins to change. The people you want to be around and who are attracted to you become a reflection of this higher self-expression. Your work, if you're working in a job that you don't like very much, it's more like a pay the bills kind of job, you'll gravitate away from it and you'll manifest and or create something that is much more in line with the essence of who you are, your soul dharma, the gifts that you were meant to give, because you're now connected to, you've opened up this channel for your life force energy to flow through. So yeah, it all starts in your vagina. Life starts in the vagina. We know this, right? Women are the ultimate creative portals for life. And in millennia past, we were honored for this in a huge way, right? And some cultures, women still are honored for this, a recognition that they have this power, but the women mostly don't see it that way, or men these days, right? It's quite different. So thank you. I'm ready to manifest with my vagina. So Vaginal Kung Fu is my 10-week online program that covers all of these ideas with specific techniques for everything, from a full vaginal weightlifting exercise program to yoni massage, yoni reconnaissance, yoni gazing, how to actually take your sexual energy and channel it out into the world as a creative force. Breast massage to connect, activate, tone, lift, enlarge the breasts. All of these things to fully activate your sexual energy as a creative power so that you become your own self-healer, your own creative force in the world, and you lessen, again, as you're comfortable with, you lessen your dependence on outside sources for everything, from healing to knowledge and information. You're not constantly, I made this joke, I was like, about like all the study bros out there these days are like, what do you think about this? Well, the study says blah, blah, blah. It's like, how did you sleep last night? Well, my aura ring says that I blah, blah. It's like, do you ever actually know anymore what you feel and think? Have your powers of self-assessment completely gone? You always need to reference an outside source. Right? That's the kind of world we're living in. Even in the so-called holistic community, right? There's still plenty of study bros like injecting themselves with peptides and whatever, right? Like in my world, I'm more fascinated with how do I get that power from within. Anyone can take a pill or a shot or a drug anyone can do that. That's not interesting to me. I'm interested in how do I become superhuman from within, from what's available to me naturally. How do I work with that to become my highest self? And I actually think that once people, it just takes more effort, right? It's not that it's less effective. It just takes effort, right? Taking a GLP drug, losing 30 pounds, a lot different than going to the gym, doing a cut, counting your macros, being diligent with exercise and food 24/7. Way different, right? So this is the land of elite vaginas, kung fu vaginas, people who are wanting to be in this category of extraordinary and wanting to work for it, right? You are all welcome here. I am happy to be your guide and accompaniment. Vaginal Kung Fu starts. The registration closes on Friday of this week, midnight PST. Go to kimanami.com/vagina is the sign up page for it. And this is 10-week course full of all of this information. You watch pre-recorded videos. We have community Q&A calls with me once a week, and then 2 breakout calls with all of your fellow Kung Fu vaginas twice a week, a 24/7 inner circle, a private members forum. You have lifetime access to all of the material. I don't know how people sell courses without this. I don't get it, because I always want to go back and revisit the material. I love having a permanent archive library of all of this information, which you have, right? So the course only runs once a year. This is it. And then it's gone again until 2027. So yeah. Which should I join first, VKF or WFW? Both are part 1 and part 2 of full female sexual education. I would do whatever one is happening when you're ready to join. So if that's now, then I would take VKF and then plan to take WFW at some point in the future as well. So if you have any questions, we have a huge FAQ section on the VKF registration page. If there's anything on there that you still need to ask about, please email us, salons@kimanami.com. WFW runs in, I believe, July. They're about 6 months apart. We do VKF one part of the year and then WFW the other part of the year. WFW is How to Be a Well-Fucked Woman. Like I said, it's the part 1 and 2, although one doesn't have to come before the other. They're bird just flew. I always live in floor to ceiling glass window places, and then a lot of birds try to come on through, but this one luckily just, I think, stopped itself in time and flew away. Oh, I don't know. Lana says, I've taken all your courses, absolutely life-changing. I could never even imagine how incredible my life could be. And that's beautiful. Thank you. Mish, love all of your offerings. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate the kind words and the ongoing support. I appreciate everybody who loves the idea of excellence, and that if you put in the energy and the effort, you will get there. Catch a wave, girl. I plan to. Many. Thank you very much. So I look forward to seeing you all in the salon. If now isn't the right time for you, still have plenty of offerings through my podcast. People have had great success just listening to podcast episodes. We all take it a level deeper in the salons, right? That's where the much deeper work can happen. And then I show up here I'll be here a lot more, actually, doing commentaries and videos on Instagram. So, Nas, best dildos on the market. We have some couture, hand-blown, glass dildos that, I'm very proud of. I won't show you the whole bathing suit, but I love color, right? Expression of vibrancy. All right, lots of love, everyone. And like I said, hope to see some of you in the salon, and bye for now.
you can catch my free video series, How to Manifest Men, Money, and Miracles with Your Vagina at kimanami.com/vagina. Thank you so much for listening. Subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and send somebody else the gift of a multi-orgasmic and transformational love life by sharing this episode with them. If you'd like to go deeper into all things orgasms, sign up for my free Orgasmopedia series, where you'll learn about 9 different types of orgasms everyone can have. Go to kimanami.com and you'll see the sign up there. Come one, come all.